Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel, wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice Christmas Eve, baby. It's Christmas Eve time. I've received the evening star over here. I got the best girlfriend, and it is time to rock and roll as I realize probably no one's watching. You probably have a family. You probably have a life. You probably are not watching Magic Internet Money on the good old interwebs right now, but there are a few interesting things, and also for the people in the quant program, you might want to check things out because there has been a bit of a Santa gift there. Not only is there 2 new strategies throughout this past week, 13 and 14 that is, but also updated statistics for the master list as well. Anyways, yeah, let's just jump right on into it. Let's start it off right on over here with the daily ranges for the HPDR indicator. I didn't really want to go over any lower term time frame stuff today because realistically nothing's really changed there. But as you can see on the daily right here, we do have a very obvious range that I think is quite self-evident at this point, with highs at the 18,400 tick and lows at the 15,800 tick. That is to say that anything between these two major ranges essentially equates to nothing on the higher term timeframes. No major massive breakout nor breakdown as long as Bitcoin oscillates between these two major levels. Even if we go down to the 4-hour time frame, you can see that this essentially gets the medium term timeframes. And yes, 17,300 to the upside versus about 16,400 to the downside. That is to say, above 17,400 to the upside, or even 350, or sorry, it's actually more about 350. Then I would be looking for another retest of 18,000 and probably beyond. That would be a good early warning signal that Bitcoin's about to bust on through to the upside, and to the downside below about 16,400. At that point, very likely looking at a move back down to the daily range lows, 15.8 or so. But here's the thing, while no one's watching, Bitcoin and markets generally do put in some major inversion points, and that's what I really want to focus this analysis on, because if we go over here and start to build a case on the higher term timeframes, there's a lot of things that do suggest that Bitcoin's very likely putting in a major low right here. I want to be very fucking clear with this though. Just because Bitcoin might be putting in a major low here does not mean it can't come back down and test around that daily range low, 15,800. I'm not making a comment on that. In fact, if Bitcoin breaks below about 16.4, 16.5, probably going to see something like that, to be fair. But I would still say that it's a lot more likely to trade above 18,500 bucks before trading and closing below 15,000 bucks or wherever our current lows are as of right now. Anyways, yes, in this case, this is the 2-day time frame. We've seen this setup many a time in the past year. The most recent one actually was in November. It wasn't the most impressive, but the ones before that this past year have been incredibly impressive, I would say. You know, moves that were 20, 30, even close to 40% in this past year. And we have a setup yet again on this. So this is a volatility versus stochastic momentum signature. Volatility represented by this moving metric that my cursor is currently tracing right here. Whenever it gets down to extreme lows, which are defined as anything below this green horizontal bar, that is at the point when we then want to monitor for volatility expansion, which naturally mathematically will happen after getting to these extreme lows. From that point, upon volatility expansion, we have observed over the past, actually over the full history of CME, an average move of close to 40% over the course of about 3.5 weeks. And the stochastic oscillator has been correct in getting the direction of that volatility expansion 9 out of 11 times, which gives it about an 82% strike rate right there. The reason why I think that this one is very interesting here is because the 2-day time frame stochastic oscillator is currently pointed to the upside, meaning that if volatility expansion were to happen sooner rather than later, well, then this would favor a major upside move, potentially all the way up to that average. Even looking at the first standard deviation right here for that particular setup, I mean, it's still a pretty impressive move, no matter which way you cut it. Even on the lower end at 30%, that would put Bitcoin basically back around about 20,000 bucks, give or take a few bucks from that number. And at the average, Bitcoin would be, a little bit over 21,000 bucks. So ultimately, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. Maybe not, probably not in this next week. I mean, realistically, like 2022 is fucking done. Like no one's paying attention. You shouldn't be paying attention at this point, but likely relevant for beginning of Q1 of 2023. So yeah, of course, it can always go the other way as well. That'll obviously be very self-evident with a move below the current lows. At that point, you're probably looking at, at least $13,000, probably more like $10,000-11,000. We can join basically the chorus of all the other people in the whole fucking crypto world, suggesting that Bitcoin is destined to hit 12,000. I think it is the current magical number, or 10,000, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what the fucking current magical number is, because if Bitcoin does get there, people are just gonna, adjust it a little bit low. It's like 12,000 ain't enough, man. It's going to fucking 9. It's like, okay, fair enough. Again, at the end of the day, I want this to be actionable. I want this to be relatable for like an actual fucking trader, not these. It's Christmas. We won't get into that. All right, sweet. So let's go into the next chart over here. Again, it's the same chart that I've been posting on for a while now. Hasn't changed, but it still corroborates that story that, again, Bitcoin's a lot more likely to be putting in a major low here than not. I'm not calling a macro low, but a major low. And in this case, anytime that we've seen the weekly accumulation and distribution indicator get down to this green horizontal bar and then get its first tick of a positive slope after first going below that bar, well, we have observed over the full history of Bitcoin about a 49% bounce, and that's excluding the first two iterations over here, which were tremendous, like Trump says, tremendous, amazing, like you've never seen before. 232% gainer on this first one and 138% gainer on the second one. I did not include those in this calculation because they're severe outliers here, but for the rest of them, average gain of about 49% over the course of like 2 to 3 months. From signal given. And what do you know? We have the setup given over here yet again. And these statistics, again, pretty in alignment with what we just saw on the prior chart, but coming at it from a completely different angle, completely different indicator. And again, this would kind of encompass, the majority of Q1 of 2023. And so if we were to see, even a 40%, well, we already know what a 40% move looks like because we already calculated that. But, if it went up to 50%, that puts Bitcoin towards $22,500. Again, these things are going to be invalidated with a move below the current lows. I'm not saying that Bitcoin can't retest around the current lows, but closing below the current lows would be the invalidation at that point. Yeah, it's probably going to 4 digits, honestly. But I do still think that the statistics, the probabilities favor maybe another retest of the lows, but very likely a move above the current range highs and towards the $20,000 territory. Based off that, we can also get into the last couple things over here. I'll make this one nice and short and sweet. Whoops. Whoa. Hey, no. We're not talking about that right now. Get the fuck out of my face with that silliness. But over here on the 5-day and also the weekly, by the way, for CME, you can see a couple of things. First and foremost, or maybe foremost, but the weekly continues to confirm multiple drives of regular bullish divergence. And yes, the weekly is closed for CME. So this is, still it's still viable there, if you will. And then also the 5-day time frame does have this, well, it does have the same setup right here, but more importantly, it does have what seems to be a pretty powerful jewel signal building up. In fact, if we go to spot price action, it's already turning that light cyan color. So again, can Bitcoin retest the current lows? Yeah, definitely possible, but very likely if it does, it's going to do something like this. Very, very likely. I do think, especially when 5-day BBWP is this low. I mean, we're looking at like historical lows on volatility right now. This next move, probably early Q1 of 2023, is going to be fucking mind melting, I do think. Also, there's, of course, oh yes, if we go over here, we can also go reference on the 5-day time frame for stochastic momentum on CME. Again, this one continues to be to the upside, and Bitcoin did once again close above the momentum pivot, not just for the 5-day, but also the weekly, 15,800 respectively. But you also notice on the weekly and the 5-day, but the weekly is a little more obvious, there is 1, 2, 3 drives of bullish divergence come off these last few lows here. These last few lows are going to be the $19,000 low, the $18,000 low, and presumably the $15,000 low. So again, just multiple things corroborating the story. I do still think it's a lot more likely that we see a move to the upside, like a big move to the upside in early Q1 of 2023. Maybe even it starts this, at the end of this year as well. Anyways, I think that's good enough for today, keeping it nice and short and sweet. We'll be back on tomorrow for a nice little Christmas surprise. Have some nice and well planned there. Other than that, I want to be wishing you the best on this lovely holiday. If you're not celebrating the holiday, happy Saturday to you as well, or whatever holiday that you might be celebrating. And to all the Christmas celebrators out there, hey, Merry fucking Christmas, baby. It's been a nice year. It's been a pretty damn productive year. And I hope that despite the downside displeasures in this asset, in general, you've been finding opportunity in some way with this or in life. And of course, with that said, as always, take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.